Welcome, we are live from New Delhi. You're watching DD India News, our India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Coming up in the next hour. Fresh truce talks between Israel and Hamas will resume in Cairo. CIA director and Qatari PM to join Egyptian mediators for Sunday's talks. Mexico cuts diplomatic ties with Ecuador after police stormed Mexican embassy in Quito to arrest former Ecuadorian vice president. Campaigning underway in full swing for the first phase of India's general elections. PM Modi to hold public rallies in Indian state of Bihar, West Bengal and Madhya Pradesh. And in Indian Premier League, Jos Butler 100 overshadows Kohli's 113 as inaugural champions Rajasthan Royals go 4-0 up. All right, we'll start with the updates on Israel-Hamas conflict. Delegations from Israel and Hamas will head to Cairo on Sunday in the hopes of reviving stalled ceasefire talks. This comes as the Israeli government is under increased international and domestic pressure to reach a deal with Hamas to release hostages being held in Gaza. DD India's Alex Kadia reports from Tel Aviv.
Well, very, very high stakes for that ceasefire talks meeting. We know that all the senior players will be present. On the Israeli side, you have David Barnea, the head of the intelligence agency, the Mossad, and Ronen Bar, the head of the security agency, Shin Bet. On the other side, Hamas sending its deputy leader to these negotiations, mediated by CIA Director Bill Burns and by Qatari and Egyptian officials. The pressure absolutely on. Joe Biden has told Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to give his negotiators room to operate, room to strike a deal. We also know that he's asked the Emir of Qatar and the Egyptian president to put significant pressure on Hamas to do the same and come to these talks constructively. Now, we know that the previous two deals proposed by Israel have been rejected by Hamas, who said they were basically the same thing. The structure of the deal would be 40 vulnerable Israeli hostages, women, injured and elderly, released in exchange for 700 Palestinian prisoners, 100 of which are serving life sentences here in Israel. Now the sticking points remain. Hamas demanding the full withdrawal of Israeli troops from Gaza. That is not going to happen, say Israeli officials. They also want a longer lasting, what they call a comprehensive ceasefire. And again, Israel saying they will only do 6 weeks. And that has been negotiated for months now. And finally, the last sticking point where Israeli officials say they can be flexible is the return of civilians to northern Gaza. They say they will allow more. The other aspect of this is the US pressure on Israel to allow more aid to flow into the Gaza Strip and to have a pause in the fighting, particularly as we've seen a 47-year-old Israeli hostage's body has been recovered just in the last day. He was kidnapped on October 7th, killed according to the IDF in January, and his body buried in Khan Yunis in Gaza, only recovered by Shin Bet and the IDF. So clearly, for the families of those hostages, for the civilians starving in Gaza, time to reach a deal is running out. Alex Kadia in Tel Aviv reporting for DD India.
And Israel's army on Saturday released footage it said showed the targeting and destruction of tunnels operated by Hamas in the southern Gaza city of Khan Yunis. The army, in a statement accompanying the video, said that the tunnels had been uncovered in the past, with one dating back a decade. In addition to the 3 tunnel-like structures, the Israeli Defense Forces claimed that a Hamas-run excavation workshop was also destroyed. And the Joint Operations Command of the Ministry of Defense announced the implementation of the 26th airdrop of humanitarian and relief aid as part of the Birds of Goodness operation. The United Arab Emirates Ministry of Defense released footage on Saturday reportedly showing its air forces dropping humanitarian aid parcels into northern Gaza in a joint effort with Egypt. 2 UAE C-17 aircraft and 2 Egyptian C-295 aircraft participated in the airdrop operation. Over 80 tons of food and relief aid and supplies were dropped over isolated areas in northern Gaza. As part of an international effort to help set up a new humanitarian maritime corridor, a British Royal Navy ship will supply aid to Gaza. The multinational effort involving the United States, Cyprus and other partners will develop a new temporary pair off the coast of Gaza. British Foreign Minister David Cameron pledged $12.26 million for aid, equipment and logistical expertise to help set up the maritime corridor from Cyprus to Gaza. The initiative will see aid pre-screened in Cyprus and delivered directly to Gaza through the new US temporary pier being constructed off the coast or via Ashdod port after Israel agreed to open it. And the hostage families of the Israelis still held in captivity in the Gaza Strip cancelled a planned rally in Tel Aviv on Saturday and held an urgent plea for the return of their loved ones. The move came after news of the body of a hostage was recovered. Israel said on Saturday its special forces had recovered the body of 47-year-old Elad Kadzir, killed while being held captive in Gaza, which raised concerns among the family members about the fate of the remaining hostages.
Today we got very bad message about Elad Kadzir. He was hostage for 3 months. He could handle 3 months and then they killed him. We don't know what about all the rest. This is the time, not a day more. This is the time to bring them back. All of them as soon as possible. We have to bring them back home.
Well, it has been 6 months since Hamas fighters broke through from Gaza into Israel on 7th October, killing about 1,200 people and taking hundreds hostage. UN Chief Antonio Guterres once again condemned the attack and called for the unconditional release of all the hostages.
The 7th of October is a day of pain for Israel and the world. The United Nations and I personally mourn with Israelis for the 1,200 people, including many women and children, were killed in cold blood. Nothing can justify the horror unleashed by Hamas in October 7th. And I once again utterly condemn the use of sexual violence, torture, injuring and kidnapping of civilians, the firing of rockets towards civilian targets, and the use of human shields. And I call for the unconditional release of all the hostages still held by Hamas and other armed groups.
And the United States says it is preparing for a possible Iranian attack in Israel or the region. US officials are warning it could come in retaliation to Israel striking the Iranian embassy in Syria. DD India's Nick Harper sends this report from Washington.
Well, US officials are reportedly in a state of high alert. There is significant concern that there will be an attack within the coming days. US officials say they believe an attack is now inevitable and they think that attack will be significant, saying we are definitely at a high state of vigilance. Now, they're not sure, or at least not saying, where that attack could take place, but the potential, they say, is either within Israel itself or against American targets within the region. All of this coming off the back of an Israeli airstrike, not confirmed by the Israelis, but the thinking is that they carried it out on Monday in Damascus on Iran's embassy. One of the top Iranian commanders were killed. Iran also saying that another 7 people were killed during that attack. Now, obviously, that created a major escalation in terms of relations between Israel and Iran, and the fear is that after a couple of months of significant calm within the region, there could be this potential of a flare-up. We've seen, obviously, the Israel-Hamas conflict continue, but when it comes to other Iran-backed actors in the region, Hezbollah, and also the Houthis in Yemen, it has been somewhat quieter during recent weeks. So concern now from US officials, enough concern that the US President Joe Biden, when he spoke to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Thursday, did discuss this and discuss the possibility of it taking place and how they would potentially deal with the fallout from it. Because it's now a case of, if we were to see this attack, how would the US and Israel respond? Concern that this could create a significant problem within the region, could create a significant escalation in tensions between Iran, Israel and the US. In Washington, Nick Harper, reporting for DD India.
And former US President and Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump appeared at a fundraising event in Palm Beach, Florida on Saturday. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump's campaign made a major fundraiser in Florida, raked in a massive $50.5 million. After arriving at the event, Trump promised that change would come very quickly, quote-unquote, once he regained the presidency. The event, slated to be his biggest fundraiser yet, is a much-needed opportunity for Trump, who has been routinely outraised by Biden and is in the midst of a financial squeeze due to ballooning lawyer fees and legal payouts. Meanwhile, US President Joe Biden's re-election campaign raised over $187 million in the first quarter 2024, almost double what it took it during the previous quarter. And tens of thousands of people protested against Prime Minister Viktor Orban in Budapest on Saturday. The protest was led by Peter Magyar, a lawyer formerly close to the administration turned opponent. Protesters marched to the parliament wearing the red, white, green national colours or carried the national flag. Magyar became widely known in February when he unleashed comments about the inner workings of the government. He accused Antal Rogan, the minister who leads Orban's office, of running a centralized propaganda machine. He also published a recording of a conversation with his ex-wife where Varga delayed an attempt by a senior aide to Orban's cabinet chief to interfere in a graft case. Prosecutors are now investigating the statements. And now dozens of Venezuelan migrants living in Argentina marched through the streets of Buenos Aires on Saturday to protest against Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro and to demand free elections. Demonstrators said the Venezuelan embassy in Argentina was not allowing Venezuelans to register as voters, preventing many from voting. The protest is one of over 50 worldwide called upon to show support for opposition leader Maria Corina Machado, who was banned from running in the election by Maduro's government. Now, the police authorities in Nigeria say they have deployed personnel to restore peace in Umala local government area in the country's north-central state of Kogi. This follows the killing of over 20 people in the region by the gunmen. DD India's Tessa Makende reports.
Police Public Relations Officer in the state, William Aya, while confirming the incident, says the gunmen also set houses ablaze. Locals say most of the casualties were old people who could not run for safety. Several other people were injured, while many have left the communities for safety. Local authorities said the incident on Thursday was a reprisal attack by herders against farmers who earlier killed 6 of them over jostle for land. It's led to this deployment of security personnel to attempt to restore and maintain peace. Conflict between farmers and herders are common in Nigeria, especially in Kogi and other parts of the north-central region, where the land is arable and also good for pasture. The country's House of Representatives says the situation has led to the loss of over 60,000 lives. The government says it is introducing improved agricultural practices, such as ranching, as part of measures to address the situation. Some states have already abolished the open grazing system and given room for the establishment of the ranches. Tassim Akende in Jos, reporting for DD India.
All right, still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. Peter Pellegrini to be Slovakia's president as ex-foreign minister Ivan Korkok concedes defeat. Thousands ordered to leave their homes after downpour triggered mass evacuations and widespread damage in eastern Australia. And World Health Day is being celebrated today. April 7 marks the founding of the World Health Organization.
Of our planet is just water, and a majority of this is in our ocean. So let's dive into this today and try to understand the importance of oceans, the threats that they face, and the conservation efforts being made.
Start the Adopt a Coral program, and it's a 1-year adoption period. Transplantation process basically involves fabricating. It's just a frame of the table, we get it to the site of the transplantation and we lower it into the water.
Carbon management is not a scientific challenge, it's a scaling challenge, right? And it's an economic challenge. So being able to demonstrate that carbon management technologies are accessible, affordable, and scalable is really what we need to do.
We have more maritime storms, erosion, high temperatures, floods. All of this has been affecting the lagoon.
We refurbished half a container for our own use. After adding lights and a fan, we got the idea to start a business, making living spaces with these containers.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Some more stories. Mexico has suspended diplomatic ties with Ecuador after police raided its embassy in Quito to arrest former Ecuadorian Vice President George Glass. Nicaragua has also joined Mexico in cutting all diplomatic relations with Ecuador as a flagrant violation of international law. Glass, convicted twice for corruption, had been holed up in the embassy in Quito since seeking political asylum in December. Glass has been accused by Ecuadorian authorities of embezzling government funds meant to help rebuild after a devastating 2016 earthquake. He has now been flown under police guard to the city of Guayaquil and is expected to await trial in a maximum security prison. Meanwhile, Glass says he is the subject of political persecution and had been sheltering inside the embassy. Glass served as Ecuador's vice president between 2013 and 17. He was relieved of his duties because of mounting corruption allegations against him. And later that year, he was sentenced to 6 years in jail in connection with corruption at the Brazilian construction giant Odebrecht. Meanwhile, citizens in the streets of Quito and Mexico City expressed disappointment with the diplomatic problems that have escalated between their governments over the last days. On the streets of Quito, opinions were torn. Mexicans mostly disapproved of the reaction of Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador, arguing he wasn't complying with Mexico's non-interventionist foreign policy with his actions. Arrest of Ecuador's former Vice President Glass sparked outrage in Mexico City, which suspended relations with Quito. Ecuador Foreign Minister said on Saturday that Mexico violated the principle of non-interference in the internal affairs of other countries. Minister Gabriela Sommerfeld said the principle was violated when Mexico hosted George Glass in its embassy in Quito and prevented authorities from arresting him. Sommerfeld added that Glass could not be classified as a political prisoner. Listen in.
Former Ecuadorian Vice President George Glass has 2 enforceable sentences for common crime and a caution with the obligation to report regularly to the judicial authority. Under no circumstances, he may be subjected to political, regional or ethical prosecution.
In Slovakia, Peter Pellegrini wins the presidential election, defeating Ivan Korčok. Peter Pellegrini received a 56.7% of the vote in Saturday's runoff election, topping former Foreign Minister Ivan Korčok, who had 43.3%. This election result propels Pellegrini to be Slovakia's 6th president since its independence from Czechoslovakia in 1993. The outgoing president, Zuzana Kaputova, known for her support of Ukraine amidst Russian aggression, chose not to seek re-election for the largely ceremonial role. Although Slovak presidents wield limited executive powers, they can veto laws or challenge them in the Constitutional Court. They also nominate Constitutional Court judges, potentially shaping political conflicts over FICO's reforms, which aim to reduce penalties for corruption. The Train Drivers Union of the United Kingdom, ASLEF, has launched a new round of strikes, which is expected to impact most railway services in the country. The Euston railway station was affected by the strikes. The station looked extremely deserted on Friday morning with only a few passengers. A dozen train drivers gathered outside the station holding banners and slogans to express their complaints. According to the union, train drivers under the union have not received any pay rise since April 2019, and many people have been experiencing a living cost crisis as product prices in Britain have soared due to the effects of the Russia-Ukraine conflict. This round of strikes was scheduled to be held on Friday, Saturday and Monday, impacting operations of 16 railway companies. According to Rail Delivery Group, the strikes held from June 2022 to January 2024 had caused £775 million of economic loss to the country's railway industry. Now, Zimbabwe has introduced a new gold-backed currency called ZiG. The name stands for Zimbabwe Gold. It is the latest attempt to stabilize an economy that has lurched from crisis to crisis for the past 25 years. Did India's Isaac Lucando has more.
The Central Bank of Zimbabwe says the ZiG will be structured and pegged at a market-determined exchange rate. The new currency replaces the Zimbabwean dollar, which has lost 3/4 of its value this year. March saw annual inflation reach 55%, a 7-month high. Zimbabweans have 21 days to exchange their old notes for new currency. Despite this, the US dollar, accounting for 85% of transactions, will remain legal tender since most people are likely to continue preferring it. There is a historic mistrust of the central bank among Zimbabweans dating back to 2008, when it printed 10 trillion Zimbabwean dollar notes during uncontrollable inflation. Consequently, Zimbabwe abolished its currency and relied on foreign banknotes like the US dollar and the South African rand for many years. Experts are now questioning whether Zimbabwe has enough reserves to adequately back the currency and whether it could suffer from volatility in gold prices. Isaac Lucando in Dar es Salaam, reporting for DD India.
To continue discussions on economic front between the US and China, US Secretary of the Treasury Janet Yellen met China's Premier Li Qiang to discuss economic relationship between the two countries. Both the leaders emphasized to work together and make progress directly and communicate openly. Some weather updates now. Parisians dish their coats and jackets as temperatures are set to reach higher in April. The weather authorities warns the temperatures to mount and reach up to 30 degrees Celsius in the south of France. Experts claim the warmer weather is due to warm air masses continuing to circulate over much of Europe. France to break the record of warmest April this month. Airline passengers in parts of the United Kingdom and Ireland faced travel disruption at airports on Saturday due to flight cancellations as a storm swept across both countries and left thousands of Irish homes with power outages. The disruption caused by Storm Kathleen has affected flights at airports across Ireland and the UK, including Manchester Airport and Belfast City Airport. In Scotland, rail and ferry services were also affected and faced disruption due to Storm Kathleen, with Scottish Rail Services implementing temporary speed restrictions earlier in the day. Strong winds associated with the storm also had led to a number of power outages across the country, with approximately 34,000 homes, farms and businesses impacted. Now in Australia, thousands of more residents have been evacuated while others have been warned to prepare to leave following a mammoth downpour in New South Wales over the weekend. More than 100 flood warnings remained in place for towns along the Hawkesbury and Nepean rivers on Sunday morning after Friday's deluge. Thousands of residents across Sydney's west and northwest have been evacuated, while over 140 people were saved from floodwaters since Saturday morning. Water levels are expected to peak on Sunday before subsiding after clouds parted over the weekend, with little rain predicted to fall until Tuesday. The New South Wales government on Sunday announced a disaster recovery package for over a dozen communities affected by flooding. Russia has evacuated around 2,000 people from their homes in the Russian city of Oks. Russian officials said a day after rising waters in the Ural River flooded riverside villages and caused a dam to burst. The authorities have evacuated around hundreds of thousands of people after many homes were flooded in the area on Friday, urged residents of riverside communities to evacuate after the dam burst. Mayor of Russia's Orenburg orders evacuations amid critical flooding. A total solar eclipse is set to occur on 8th April. The celestial phenomena where the moon completely obscures the sun, casting a shadow on Earth, will move across Mexico, the United States and Canada, but will not be visible from the Indian subcontinent. The eclipse is set to commence over the South Pacific Ocean, with the first point of contact on continental North America being Mexico's Pacific coast at approximately 11:07 a.m. So many changes will occur during this solar eclipse. This will be a total solar eclipse and would be a memorable event, as it is going to occur after 54 years. Now, X Corp, formerly Twitter, has been forced by court decisions to block certain popular accounts in Brazil and is prohibited from giving details of the order. Ex-owner Elon Musk said in a post on the platform that his order could lead to a total loss of revenue and shutdown of the offices in Brazil, promising that he would legally challenge it where possible. The social media company said it is unaware why the blocking orders have been issued and is barred from giving details of the impacted accounts, adding that it is threatened with daily fines if it fails to comply. Now let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Climate activist Greta Thunberg was detained twice by police at a demonstration in The Hague, the Netherlands, for several hours on Saturday. Thunberg was detained along with other protesters who tried to block a major highway into The Hague. Before she was detained, Thunberg told journalists she was protesting because the world is facing an existential crisis. 2 people were killed and 7 were wounded, including a police officer, during a shooting at Martini Bar in Doral, Florida. 6 of the people shot were bystanders and a police officer was shot in the leg. According to the experts, US has the highest level of firearm homicides among high-income countries with populations over 10 million. Botswana has defended its elephant trophy hunting quota following a conservation dispute with Germany after its environment ministry floated the idea of banning the import of trophies from endangered species. In response, Botswana President Mokgweetsi Masisi offered to send 20,000 elephants to Germany as a way of emphasizing the difficulty of coexisting with the world's largest population of pachyderms. Botswana is currently home to over 130,000 elephants. World Health Day is being celebrated today. April 7 marks the founding of the World Health Organization. The WHO has chosen the theme My Health, My Right for this year's celebrations. The theme highlights an important human right, access to good health care, education and information. Visitors and locals admired the blooming cherry trees in West Germany as the cherry blossom season transforms parts of the city into a river of pink flowers every year. Numerous people from in and outside Germany visit Bonn each year to see the blooming trees. The trees will bloom for a period of about 2 weeks. Still to come on this edition of DD India News Hour. Campaigning underway in full swing for first phase of India's general elections. The Communist Party of India released its manifesto for the upcoming general elections. And we'll also tell you how the temple festival was celebrated in South Indian state of Kerala.
Welcome to this special broadcast on film festivals behind the scenes. 2 eminent guests joining us to take forward what exactly is the need of cinema. How does one see the significance, the importance of film festivals in today's times?
Film industry globally celebrates cinema. Film festival is much more than a costume parade. International film festivals have now established themselves as venues where art, commerce and technology of cinema meets.
Film festivals really serve as a bridge, and they bring the community together, they bring the cineasts together. I think festivals have been able to keep the spirit alive.
The land of Dravidians, Tamil Nadu, goes to polls in one go. How will the National Party's alliance face the political heat with the regional satraps? What are the issues that could find resonance among the voters as India decides? Will the vote share increase help the national parties get a foothold in the minds of the people? Watch Why Tamil Nadu Matters on the Great Indian Election at 8:30 p.m. IST and 1500 hours GMT, only on TD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Recap of what we have done so far. Fresh truce talks between Israel and Hamas will resume in Cairo. CIA director and Qatari PM to join Egyptian mediators for Sunday's talks. Mexico cuts diplomatic ties with Ecuador after police stormed Mexican embassy in Quito to arrest former Ecuadorian vice president. Campaigning underway in full swing for the first phase of India's general elections. PM Modi to hold public rallies in Indian state of Bihar, West Bengal and Madhya Pradesh. And in Indian Premier League, Joss Butler 100 overshadows Kohli's 113 as inaugural champions Rajasthan Royals go 4-0 up. Now let's get you the latest on the world's largest democratic elections in India. As election fever grips the nation, political parties are intensifying their efforts to secure victory in the upcoming general elections. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit 3 Indian states to hold public rallies on Sunday. The Prime Minister will hold public rallies in central Indian city of Jabalpur, Bihar's Nevada and East Indian city of Jalpaiguri during the day. Earlier on Saturday, PM Modi addressed the people of Saharanpur and Ajmer. A grand roadshow of PM Modi was also held in UP's Ghaziabad. And the Communist Party of India released its manifesto for the upcoming Lok Sabha elections on Saturday. CPI General Secretary D. Raja along with senior leaders released the manifesto in New Delhi. While releasing manifesto, D. Raja said CPI will form the government with left, progressive and democratic forces and will work to ensure decent minimum wages to all the labourers. He added that party would seek increased funding to create a health and education infrastructure which is accessible to all. And Uddhav Thakere's campaign got a fresh setback ahead of the Lok Sabha elections as former Maharashtra Minister and Deputy Leader of the Shiv Sena UBT, Baban Rao Gholap, joined the Shiv Sena led by Chief Minister Eknath Shinde. Gholap joined the party in the presence of Maharashtra CM Eknath Shinde, State Minister Dada Bhuse and Deputy Chairperson of Maharashtra Legislative Council Neelam Gorhe. Shinde said 2 more MLAs from Rajasthan will join the party in the next 2 days. Gholap is a 5-time MLA from Nashik district of Maharashtra. And managing logistics in a country with 968 million voters is an incredible task, and it will be carried out by the Election Commission of India when the country holds the general elections. Our next report tells you more about the ECI's role and its powers.
After India became independent in 1947, the founding fathers of the Indian Republic envisaged a representative parliamentary democracy based on the universal adult franchise. Keeping in line with those ethos, the Election Commission of India was established on 25th of January 1950. The ECI is an autonomous constitutional body responsible for conducting and regulating polls. Its powers are broadly divided into 3 categories: administrative, advisory and judicial. The administrative powers include registration of eligible voters, preparation of poll schedule depending on the availability of resources both in terms of execution and security needs, scrutinize nomination papers of candidates. The poll body's most important task is to ensure the fairness of the electoral process and prevent incidents of rigging, booth capturing and violence. Coming to advisory powers, The ECI can recommend the President and the state governors to disqualify sitting members of Parliament and members of legislative assemblies respectively if they are found guilty of indulging in corrupt practices during polls. As for the judicial powers, the Election Commission cannot review any poll result on its own. This can only be done through an election petition which can be filed before the High Court. But the ECI can settle disputes related to recognition of political parties. Apart from ensuring free and fair elections, the poll body has also been organizing various awareness campaigns to increase voter turnout. Bureau Report, DD India.
Some more election-related news. Congress President has approved the proposal for the formation of the campaign committee of the Rajasthan Pradesh Congress Committee for the general elections 2024 with immediate effect. The AICC on Saturday approved a 32-member campaign committee for the Lok Sabha elections in Rajasthan. Former Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot, Deputy CM Sachin Pilot, Congress candidates CP Joshi and Pratap Singh have been included in the committee. Leader of Opposition Tikaram, PCC Chief Gobind Singh Dotasra, former Union Minister Jitendra Singh, former Minister Shanti Dhariwal and ex-RTDC Chairman Dharmendra Rathod are also part of the committee. And India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh will visit Rajasthan on Sunday. Rajnath Singh will address 2 election meetings there. He will address people of Rajasthan in Bikaner and Junjunu constituencies. Earlier on Saturday, Rajnath Singh addressed the people of Madhya Pradesh state. Meanwhile, the National President of Bharatiya Janata Party, Jagat Prakash Nadda, will hold election rallies in various places in Tamil Nadu on Sunday. All right, let's go across to DD India's Dibyendu Mondale is joining us live from Delhi. Dibyendu, PM Modi will visit 3 Indian states today to hold public rallies. Tell us how crucial are these rallies, and also this is PM's second visit to Bengal in last 1 week. How significant is Bengal this time for the BJP?
Well, good morning, Abhishek. That's absolutely right. This is the Prime Minister's second visit in a week to West Bengal. And remember, in 2019, the West Bengal scored about 18 of the 42 seats from West Bengal, which was a great starter for the BJP because the BJP was significantly absent in the state. Even in 2016, the Vidhan Sabha polls, the BJP could not make any significant dent into the TMC's stronghold in Bengal. But however, since 2019, the BJP's prime focus has been West Bengal. And if you remember the 2021 elections, the assembly elections in West Bengal was fought fiercely by the BJP, and the BJP is now the principal opposition party in Bengal. So therefore, the focus of the top leadership of the BJP in Bengal has been increasing ever since then. The BJP is hoping this time around to increase their seat share from 18 to 22 out of the 42 Lok Sabha seats in Bengal. Having said this, the BJP is giving an extra push to the campaign in Bengal because the BJP thinks it's a fertile ground for the BJP to exploit that state, given the fact that the Trinamool Congress's government there is riddled with corruption and with malpractices, which has been exposed by both the opposition as well as the investigative agencies. Therefore, and also where the Prime Minister will be campaigning this afternoon is the northern part of West Bengal, and this part of West Bengal has been a very fertile, in fact, a very fertile ground for the BJP since the last almost 10 years, and the BJP has been winning these seats ever since then, despite of the fact that the BJP was not being able to make a dent in the southern part of Bengal. So therefore, the BJP wants that there are about 10 seats in the northern part of Bengal, and the BJP won all the 10 in the last 2019 Lok Sabha election. The BJP also hopes to repeat that same tally and is not ceding its ground to the ruling Trinamool Congress this time around. So therefore, you will see much more visits by the top leadership of the BJP in Bengal in the coming days. And the Prime Minister's visit is highly significant because the Prime Minister will be taking his developmental plank and expose an attack and expose the Trinamool Congress government on the issues of corruption and malpractices. Yes, back to you, Abhishek.
Dibyendu, also BJP National President Jagat Prakash Nadda is touring South India, and the BJP does not have much presence in the southern India. What do you think would be BJP's position this time around there in South India?
Southern part of India is again one of a fertile ground that the BJP is trying to explore. However, the BJP has not been able to make much inroads and significant impact in the southern part of India. But this time around, the BJP feels, especially with the state of Tamil Nadu, the BJP feels that it has some edge where it can make at least some entry point gains into the state of Tamil Nadu, which is why you'll see you have already witnessed the Prime Minister campaigning extensively in southern India, in Tamil Nadu particularly. He had been to several parts of Tamil Nadu even before the election was announced. He is also expected to visit Tamil Nadu in the coming days. You have also seen, the national president of the BJP is there in South India for the last 2 days. He was in Kerala yesterday. He will be going to several places in Tamil Nadu to campaign for the party today. So the BJP, if not the number of seats, the BJP this time around expects that to increase increase the vote share of the party at least in some of the states of South India. But having said this, not the entire South India has, the BJP is absent in Karnataka. It is the only state in South India, Karnataka, where the BJP has a significant amount of presence. But apart from that, this time around, the BJP's prime focus is Tamil Nadu, because it also feels that the state president Annamalai has been able to make a great dent into the into the DMK as well as the AIDMK's vote share, and the BJP is thinking that it could exploit that small share of pie from there and increase its vote shares. Of course, southern India and especially Tamil Nadu will also be one of the most interesting states to watch out for in the elections when the state goes to polls on the 19th of April.
Dibyendu, last question before we leave you. The Communist Party of India, they also released its manifesto for the Lok Sabha elections. Tell us briefly, what are the highlights?
The CPI, again, before I get into the details of the manifesto, the CPI is only present in just Kerala and small parts of Bengal and Tripura. Apart from that, the party has lost its presence across India, and it has hardly any seats in the Lok Sabha. And both in the Lok Sabha as well as in the Rajya Sabha. But having said this, the CPIM is part of the larger opposition alliance, which is the India Alliance, and it has released its manifesto yesterday, where it talks about giving rights to the states. It talks about employment. It talks about giving guaranteed employment, and if the employment is not generated by and a youth is unemployed, it will also provide financial assistance to the youth, both in the urban as well as in the rural areas. It also talks about abolishing the post of governors. If not, it also says that if the post of governor is not abolished, it would perhaps appoint a governor in accordance with the consultation with the state governments. It also talks about increasing the wages of the Manrega, and also the right to education as well as decentralization of the education sector, the non-privatization of public sector undertakings, etc., etc. So these are some of the key highlights of the CPIM's manifesto that was released yesterday. And the CPIM also said that it is their manifesto is of course a part of the larger alliance of the opposition alliance, which is the India Alliance.
All right, Dibyendu, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for your inputs. Moving on to our next story now. Ahead of India's general election, school students in North India's Moradabad painted their face, made sand arts and portraits to motivate people for voting. The students were participating in a campaign to raise awareness among people to vote in the upcoming general elections. India's Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has minced no words on the nation's war against terror. He has told a private television network that India will not hesitate to cross the border to hunt down terrorists seeking shelter in Pakistan. Here's more.
India has laid down a hard line once again when it comes to its policy of zero tolerance against terror. In an interview given to a private television news network, the nation's defence minister minced no words on the extent to which the Indian government is willing to go to punish perpetrators of terrorism, even if it means crossing international boundaries. The minister said, "If any terrorist attempts to disturb India from a neighbouring country attempts to carry out acts of terrorism here, we will give a befitting reply. If that person escapes to Pakistan, we will go beyond the border to kill such a person. Whatever the Prime Minister has said, I stand by it. India has the strength and ability to do it, and Pakistan has also begun to understand it." The Defence Minister was responding to a query based on a report published in the UK's publication, The Guardian, which alleges that after the Pulwama terror attack in 2019, India adopted the strategy of eliminating individuals threatening its national security in foreign lands. The report is completely source-based and makes no attribution to any named individual or official in making these charges. India's External Affairs Ministry officials have denied all the charges made by The Guardian, terming them false and malicious anti-India propaganda. A previous statement by External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has also been cited, wherein he says the targeted killings in other countries are not the policy of Government of India.
In Chhattisgarh, Bijapur district bordering Telangana, 3 Naxalites were gunned down in an exchange of fire with security forces in a dense forest. The encounter took place in Pujari Kankar forest along the interstate border when a team of greyhounds, Telangana's elite anti-Naxal force, was out on an operation. A team of Chhattisgarh police was also present in the area to extend auxiliary support to the greyhounds team. Huge amount of arms and ammunition also recovered from Naxals. An interfaith cultural evening, Om Siyat, hosted by the Babs Hindu Temple in Abu Dhabi. Over 200 leaders and community members from diverse faiths attended the event. The event was a convergence of faith, culture and dialogue. The event was also attended by many prominent leaders of local religious communities. Head of the Babs Hindu Mandir Swami Brahma Viharidas addressed the evening. The vegetarian food was served, cooked by the volunteers from the temple. Now let's take a look at other stories making news today. Several coaches of Visakhapatnam Amritsar Hirakud Express train were damaged after a high-speed car broke the closed railway crossing and rammed into the train in Anuppur in central state of Madhya Pradesh. According to reports, one man has lost his life in the incident. An earthquake of magnitude 4.3 on the Richter scale hit the Andaman Sea during early hours on Sunday morning. Similar earthquake tremors of magnitude 3.4 were felt in Kargil, Ladakh during late hours on Saturday night. More than 1 lakh lamps were lit in Anchumukku Devi temples in southern Indian city of Thiruvananthapuram on the occasion of Ulsavam festival. This was the first time Lakshadweepam was organized as part of the temple festival. The temple witnessed a heavy rush as devotees thronged to observe the festival and light lamps. Hundreds of devotees thronged the Hazrat Bal Dargah on the occasion of Shab-e-Qadr on Saturday evening in Srinagar, in Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. Located on the banks of Dal Lake, the shrine hosted the largest congregation, drawing thousands of devotees from across Kashmir. All right, still to come on DD India News Hour. In Indian Premier League, 5-time champions Mumbai Indians will take on Delhi Capitals, while spirited Lucknow to face Gujarat Titans. Kevin De Bruyne claims his 100th goal for the club in a comeback victory at Crystal Palace. And Athletic Bilbao win Copa del Rey, end 40-year trophy drought. Details after the break.
71% of our planet is just water, and a majority of this is in our ocean. So let's dive into this today and try to understand the importance of oceans, the threats that they face, and the conservation efforts being made.
Start the Adopt a Coral program, and it's a one-year adoption period. Transplantation process basically involves our fabricating. It's just a frame of the table. We get it to the site of the transplantation and we lower it into the water.
Carbon management is not a scientific challenge, it's a scaling challenge, right? And it's an economic challenge. So being able to demonstrate that carbon management technologies are accessible, affordable, and scalable is really what we need to do.
We have more maritime storms, erosion, high temperatures, floods. All of this has been affecting the lagoon.
We refurbished half a container for our own use. After adding lights and a fan, we got the idea to start a business, making living spaces with these containers.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Sports updates now. We'll start with the IPL story. Rajasthan Royals on Saturday defeated Royal Challengers Bengaluru at Savai Man Singh Stadium in Jaipur. Josh Butler along with captain Sanju Samson routed RCB bowlers after RCB set them a 184-run target. Butler and Samson stitched a 148-run partnership for the second wicket as the chase looked like a cakewalk. Butler smashed unbeaten ton in 58 balls while Samson scored 69 of 42 deliveries as the home side achieved the target with 5 balls to spare. Earlier, Virat Kohli slammed his 8th IPL century and first of 2024 edition. He scored 113 not out of 72 balls and added 125 runs with skipper Faf du Plessis. But 183 was never going to be enough as they never really upped the ante. For Rajasthan Royals, spinners Yuzvendra Chahal took 2 wickets. He along with Ashwin never allowed RCB batters to chance their arms freely. With this win, RR go 4-0 up and top of the table. Talking about today's matches, a fit again Surya Kumar Yadav will be expected to immediately deliver the goods when faltering Mumbai Indians and Delhi Capitals lock horns in a bid to arrest their slide in the Indian Premier League clash in Mumbai on Sunday. Surya Kumar's potential return to action will keep him at the sign shore. Having spent the last 3 months nursing an ankle injury and recovering from a surgery of sports hernia, the world's premier T20 batter Surya Kumar hit the ground running with his first training session at the Wankhede. With 3 losses in a row, Mumbai Indians are languishing at the bottom, whereas Delhi Capitals have spiralled down to the 9th spot in 10-team points table following a 106-run hammering in their last game. And talking about the second game, Lucknow Super Giants will clash with Gujarat Titans in Lucknow on Sunday. Both the teams have won 2 matches each this season. For Lucknow Super Giants, Nicholas Pooran, Quinton de Kock and KL Rahul are in red-hot form with the bat, while Mayank Yadav, Naveen Haq and Mohsen Khan are the highest wicket takers. For Gujarat Titans, Shubman Gill and Sai Sudarshan are the top scorers, while Mohit Sharma holds the purple cap at the moment with 7 wickets. Both the teams have played 4 IPL matches against each other. Gujarat Titans have won all the games. From cricket to football, Manchester City maintained their title challenge in ruthless fashion as incredible Kevin De Bruyne claimed his 100th goal for the club in a comeback victory at Crystal Palace. In an entertaining encounter, Palace stunned City with an early opener from Jean-Philippe Mateta before De Bruyne's wonderful finish pulled the visitors level in the first half. City have 70 points after 31 games, while Arsenal have 71 points in 31 games. Liverpool has 70 points in 30 games. Meanwhile, Arsenal maintain their pursuit of a first Premier League title for 20 years as they move top of the table with an impressive away victory over Brighton. Mikel Arteta's side edged 1 point ahead of title rivals Liverpool, who faced Manchester United at Old Trafford on Sunday, and Manchester City after the reigning champions beat Crystal Palace 4-2 earlier on Saturday. Mikel Arteta's side, bidding to deliver a first English title since their 2003-04 season, have 71 points from 31 games, with Liverpool, who have a game in hand, on 70. Reigning champions City also have 70 points. And 3 weeks have elapsed since their captivating clash in the FA Cup quarterfinals, and now perennial rivals Manchester United and Liverpool collide once more. This Sunday, they meet at the iconic Old Trafford Stadium for another showdown in the Premier League. The two fierce rivals are set to face off for the third time this season. The high-voltage encounter is another significant one for their respective campaigns. Liverpool are currently second in the Premier League standings, a point behind Arsenal, who have played one more game. And on to Spanish Football Cup. Fans took the streets in celebration on Saturday after Athletic Bilbao beat Mallorca 4-2 on penalties to win their 24th Copa del Rey title. And the first since 1984, ending a 40-year trophy drought in a nerve-wracking final in Sevilla. Athletic have been through years of heartache, have lost their previous 6 consecutive Spanish Cup finals and a Europa League final to Athletic Madrid in 2012, but rode on by around 50,000 fans who invaded Sevilla and outnumbered Mallorca supporters at the sold-out La Cartuja Stadium, which holds 60,000 spectators. Athletic put all their trauma behind to pull out the long-awaited victory in a hard-fought final. With their 24th Copa del Rey win, they are still the second most behind Barcelona with 31. And the second Hong Kong Pop Culture Festival commenced with an outdoor concert at Victoria Park. The music show will continue across the weekend with performers coming from Hong Kong and overseas such as Japan and Australia. Despite the weather, residents enjoy the music on picnic mats. Well, that's all for this edition of DD India Live or DD India News Hour. In fact, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly Twitter and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India News Hour.